Oh, I was just about to take another sip. I'm Coffee Kevin. When I first decided to write about coffee, I thought about what I could do that would do the most good. I became convinced the best thing I could do was write about brewing coffee. The second best thing is to learn how to taste coffee. Think of it as coffee's version of music appreciation, only we're training our taste buds instead of our ears. In this part of my journey, I met other people and shared coffee with them. I cannot express how much this aided my education. As I tasted coffee with others, especially with experts in a slightly formal setting, my ability to spot coffee's many characteristics and nuances grew exponentially. There's just so much data in this little cup of liquid pleasure that I can't begin to describe it all. Meanwhile, my ability to know my own taste buds and how to satisfy them is enhanced by brewing and tasting in the company of others. I definitely think there's a group vibe associated with this. It's difficult to taste and compare. It's difficult to, attend taste and compare sessions when we've been asked to keep out of crowds. Frankly, I doubt many of us attend enough of them optimally anyway to sharpen our skills. So, this leads us to Make Good Coffee's Mark Workman has an idea. Anyway, we got on the line on Friday as he explained it to me. Today with Mark Wortman of MakeGoodCoffee.com, and Mark has been someone that I've known for years now. He is a blogger. He was a blogger when I met him. He's a home roaster who became a roaster in a commercial roaster in San Diego, and now has a cafe, right, Mark?
Yeah, all that is true. Kevin, I had to think about it. We met almost 8 years ago. It was for your inaugural Coffee Con event in Chicago. I attended as one of your media correspondents at the time. I was blogging about coffee on MakeGoodCoffee.com and a home roasting enthusiast. And we've seen each other a number of times since then. About 5 years ago, I started wholesale coffee roasting in San Diego. And then last year, Colleen and I started opening the MakeGoodCoffee.com coffee house right next to the roastery.
Now you are attempting when I saw this, I said, "Oh, we've got to do something on this." You're doing an online cupping, and just because everyone in our audience isn't necessarily familiar with the term cupping, tell me what cupping means.
A coffee cupping is a coffee tasting, and the that choice of words, stems from the fact that as a coffee roaster or anyone in the business, there are a number of things that we are evaluating in a coffee in terms of where it was grown, how it was grown, how it was handled before it is, goes through export and import channels before ultimately we get our hands on it as a roaster. The cupping is, in short, what is that coffee? How do we evaluate that coffee now that it's been grown and roasted, so that when we grind it and brew it and put it in a cup, how is it going to ultimately taste as a coffee?
It differs from a regular cup of Joe in the sense that it's more of an analytical. It's like watching a film with the idea that I'm going to review it.
Yeah, I think if you and I were sharing a coffee right now, there are some comments that could go back and forth, or maybe at the most basic level, do you like it or do you not like it? A coffee cupping goes into a lot more detail, where now we're breaking that coffee down into its aroma and taste characteristics, and really getting into the detail of the soil that it was grown in, how it was grown, ultimately how we chose to roast it, all of those things imparting aroma and taste on the coffee. So in a cupping, certainly we're evaluating the beans. At the same time, we're evaluating the way that those beans were roasted, but in a lot of detail, so that you come out of a cupping session with certainly more of a vocabulary, so you could talk about that coffee with other people, an evaluation that is numeric. You've scored the coffee. And then for the coffee consumer, an opportunity to really identify what that person likes and doesn't like in a coffee. And then from that point, has a better sense of how to hunt down different coffees that they like to experiment with.
So, okay, so now I'm excited. Now walk me through how I'm going to be able to attend this online. I haven't seen anybody for 20 days now. So here, oh, I've seen Pat, but and we're speaking still. But how am I going to participate in this? I think that's a part I really want to understand.
We really brainstormed how we could do a coffee cupping, because it was definitely our intention in the coffee house that opened a couple months ago that we would treat it almost as much like a classroom as a coffee shop. And coffee cuppings were going to be an integral part of that. Naturally, that's not something that's available to us. We thought, what a shame. Is there a way we could do it anyway? And what we came up with is sending people 3 coffee samples by mail in time for the online class, which will be on Sunday, April 26th, and using Zoom, have people dial into a cupping where Colleen and I are conducting the coffee cupping. You have an evaluation form that you've printed out for yourself at home. You've got the 3 coffee samples we've sent you, and some instructions on how to prepare for it, but with a real emphasis on helping you use the things that you already have at home. Obviously, coffee companies can be very technical, but they can still be enjoyed without having to go out and get specific things. If you've got cups at home and a spoon and a timer on your phone, we're going to give you everything else that you need to print out at your end. And so it's going to be the next best thing to sitting in our coffee shop where I would be conducting this cupping.
What information can we give people so that they can sign up? Because I think a lot of people in our audience for sure are going to be interested in this.
Yeah, perfect, Kevin. If people, it's an easy website to remember, makegoodcoffee.com. Go to makegoodcoffee.com, and you're going to see a link on the main page for the online coffee tasting class. April 26th, it's a Sunday. It's going to be 11 a.m. Pacific time, so it's 2 p.m. Eastern time. And it's going to consist of 2 30-minute Zoom meetings. The first one will be where I am conducting the cupping and walking you through the evaluation form. And then the second 30-minute meeting is going to be for Q&A. Obviously, to do the cupping, it would be very hard to be taking questions live time, but we're going to be encouraging people to put their questions out there. And certainly the ones that are being repeated by many attendees will answer. But anything along the way that we think has been asked that we haven't addressed, we'll be doing that in the second 30-minute session. And then when it's done, we'll be sending out recordings of those 2 30-minute meetings to attendees.
Mark, just give us the everything we get and the costs in one statement.
Sure thing. For $10, we will send you 3 samples of coffee, 3 very distinct coffees that you're going to be evaluating during the cupping class. In addition, we're going to email you information on how to log into the Zoom meeting that we'll be using to conduct the cupping. We'll also email you the cupping form to print out at home, and some very simple instructions on how to be prepared with items you already have at home for the class. And all of that for $10. For $20, everything I just mentioned, and in addition to that, a voucher to buy a bag of coffee of your choice from our online store. The idea being that following the cupping class, there's probably at least one of those 3 coffees we've sent you that you love and that you'd like to get a whole bag of.
I've had your coffee before, so I know I'd go for the upsell myself. So that's a no-brainer. Well, thank you so much, and thanks for joining us. I know you're busy and you're roasting and getting ready for this event, and so my best to you and Colleen, and look forward to seeing it on that date. Thanks.
Kevin, it was great to see you again. My best to you and Pat, and to everybody. Please continue being safe and staying healthy.
You as well. Thank you. So anyway, please, I want you to go to Mark's website now, makegoodcoffee.com, and sign up for the April 26th date. There's still time. He can get those, you'll get really fresh coffee, by the way. And it's going to be a well-spent $10. I would suggest myself that the extra $10, if you have it, which will get you a sack of Mark's beautifully chosen and roasted beans. I know I have an eye on that Sumatra. I hope all is well with you. It is a beautiful day here in the U.S. Midwest, and be sure to get out and enjoy some of those UV rays and sunshine if you can. Anyway, I'm Coffee Kevin. See you soon.